Kripal Chand Ji and Mata Gujri Ji are having a conversation. All of a sudden, they hear the sound of drums. Da-dung, 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 da-dung. And they look up, and what they see is Guru Gobind Singh Ji. They have behind them 100 children lined up in military formation, walking in synchronized steps. And Guru Sahib in the front. In one hand, he has his bow. In his other hand, he has his arrows. And they're walking, and the Faujan are following. And they bring this Fauj to Mataji, and Mataji, she finds it so cute. She goes and hugs Guru Sahib immediately. And they say, Sahibzade ji, bhukh nahi lagi. As they say that, they say, Hun Mataji sheti langar lao. Please hurry up and put the langar. We're all very hungry. Everybody sits down in rows. Sahibzade themselves are going and they're feeding their sena. They're feeding their sena one by one. And it brings me to that image in Chamkaur di Gadi, when at night the soldiers are resting. They haven't slept for nights, and Guru Sahib is going, Waheguru. जिसमें अमृत ज्ञान है माणक भगत विराग गुरु ग्रंथ साहिब उदद बंदो कर अनुराग एक अंकारा सतगुरु जय प्रसाद सच होए वाहिगुरु जी की फतेह विघ्न विनाशन सोए कहाँ बुद्ध प्रभ तुच्छ हमारी बरन सके महिमा जो तिहारी हम ना सकत कर सिफत तुम्हारी आप ले हो तुम कथा सुधारी हम ना सकत कर सिफत तुम्हारी आप ले हो तुम कथा सुधारी वाहिगुरु जी का खालसा वाहिगुरु जी की फतेह. Last week we were talking about Guru Maharaj, Bala Pritam, in their form when they were younger. They were playing in the lap of the queen, and the entire setup was getting up to that point. So when they're in the lap, and how much prem the queen felt while it was happening. So what happens is when Guru Sahib hears and understands the love that's inside of the queen and the king that are meditating without any desires of just wanting to connect with Guru Sahib, Guru Sahib comes and finds their door on their own. And they come and they decide to give them darshan pratak in their own way. When they do this, what ends up happening is the queen and the king both don't realize that Guru Sahib is in their lap. They're both doing darshan of Maharaj inside of their own heart. And so I took a picture out of the book, and I'm going to share it in the chat for everyone that came. Everyone that's listened to the recording, that's tough. No, I'm kidding. We'll put it on the recording as well. This is a drawing of that moment, if you want to open your chat boxes, of when Guru Sahib comes and hugs the Rani and is sitting inside of their god. So this is a drawing that someone did of that moment. And she's in such deep meditation that she doesn't realize that that's what's happening. And she's still meditating. And when Mata starts saying Ma, that's when she starts realizing that there's actually someone saying Ma sitting in my god. And although the king is there, Fateh Chand, Pandit Shivdat also shows up. Because he realizes ki darshan den vadeya. Maharaj is about to give darshan. And when they're giving that darshan, they say, Le ma, loka nu ta put dende si, tenu tere nishkam pyar de badle apa de reha hai. They're saying, look, you wanted to become a mother, but you pulled away all of your desires. And this Bala Pritam, Guru Sahib, they would go and they would give this prem of blessing people with a child. But with you, they've sat down in your god themselves. They've decided to give themselves to you. Look how blessed you are, and this is because of your nishkam pyar. And so here I wanted to give a couple of definitions. Nishkam is actually a very beautiful word. So kam is not just lust, it also means desires, any type of desires, any type of kamana. Kamana is any desires you have that are worldly, things that you want inside of the world. And nishkam means one that is without desire. So nishkam seva is when you go out and you're doing seva and you're involved in the world without needing or wanting any level of recognition. A Nishkam Prem is when you're loving without wanting anything in return. Right? So that is the type of bhakti they were doing. Completely nishkam, completely desireless, not wanting anything else in return. And this also reminds me of a Sakhi. When I read this, there was during Khalsa Raj actually, there was a general, their name was Hari Singh Nalwa. So again, I've heard this Sakhi, and what happens is there's a woman that comes into Hari Singh Nalwa's darbar, into his court. And she says that, I've heard that when you come to a Gursikh, that your desires are always fulfilled, especially in this Raj, right? And she goes, I have a desire, will you fulfill it? And Hari Singh Nalwa goes, of course, this is Khalsa de Bachane, whatever you desire, I will give you. And the lady goes, well, my desire is to have a son like you. I want you to give me a son like you. And the only way that's possible is if you bestow that gift on me. As in, you have relationships with me to make me have a son. Now, Hari Singh Nalwa is sitting on his Jarnelli Takht, and he's thinking, he's going, that's a request. Ek paase main kehta that the Khalsa always gives what you ask. On the other hand, she's asking me to break through Maryada. So he thinks for a second, and what he does is he gets up, he folds his hands, and he comes down and he says, from now on, you are my mother and I am your son. She goes, but you're so much older than me. He goes, it doesn't matter. From this day forth, I've realized that there is nobody that will ever be like me. The only way I can give you someone like me is if you make me your son. From now on, you're my mother. And I don't know, when I read this, ਲੋਕਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਤਾਂ ਪੁੱਤ ਦਿੰਦੇ ਸੀ, ਤੈਨੂੰ ਤੇਰੇ ਨਿਸ਼ਕਾਮ ਪਿਆਰ ਦੇ ਬਦਲੇ ਆਪਾ ਦੇ ਰਿਹਾ ਹੈ. It reminded me of that Sakhi, of that Prem, of that Gursikh, to have so much virag, so much vivek, buddhi inside of them, that their mind didn't go towards Kam and lust. It went towards, well, then you're my mother, regardless of your age. That's the nigah, that is the eyesight that I will see you with. And I wanted to share that Sakhi with you guys. So, Guru Sahib, this Rani had come Nishkam, and they decided to give them himself. And the Rani, when she realizes that it's Guru Sahib sitting in her lap, she says to the people that work there, go, ja bazaar nu jao, te mithaiyan leke aao. Go into the market and bring back some desserts. And Guru Sahib immediately goes, no, don't bring me mithaiyan. They go, idda karo, jo kare banaya, what you have made at home. The shole and puriyan that you made at home, those beans and fried rotiyan that you have made at home, oh mere liye bana lo. And nobody knew what was made at home. So the Rani says to the Nokrani, she says, ki, what do we have at home? Bring that. And they go, well, kare ta shole ta puriyan baniyan. Right? And so it was exactly what was made at home is what Guru Sahib says. And there's a lot of Sakhiyan of Mahapurkhs, Sants, Gursikhs that will show this type of kautak as well. Anpavi gal das deni, something that you only have in your own mind or something that you have no way of knowing. They'll go and they'll share that, they'll say that to show that kirpa of Akal Purkh on them. They go, they bring that folka. Maharaj says, "Bahut bhukh lagi hai, tusi mainu shakao hon." You know, just like a son asks the mother, you know, please feed me, I'm very hungry. They feed them, and as soon as they give them something to eat, Maharaj gets up and he starts going playing. He does this thing where he switches between being the child and being the good, like being Akal Purkh's Jyot, right? So they switch from being like super serious to being a kid, and they just start kicking the ball around and they're laughing and playing with their friends, and they're just creating a ruckus, right? They're like running around, and it's a very gorgeous scene of them just playing in the courtyard. As that happens, what's happening in Patna Sahib, today it's Patna Sahib, back then it was called Pataliputra. So back in Pataliputra, Patna, Mata Gujri Ji, who is the mother of Guru Gobind Singh Ji, is sitting and she's reading Sukhmani Sahib. She's bringing in the Anand of Sukhmani Sahib at home, and that's when Guru Sahib's Mama Ji, Mama Kirpal Chand Ji, comes home. He sits down and he puts jewelry, money, and mathiaiyan in front of Mata Ji, and he says, "Aa tohadiyan ne." Mata Ji, Bibi Ji says, "Eh kithon tusi le ke aaye? Where have you brought these from?" Kirpal Chand Ji says that Sahibzade aj gaye sige te Rani Ji nu Mata pukarya hai. Today, Sahibzade, as in Guru Gobind Rai, who is not Guru yet, so Sahibzade Gobind Rai has gone out into town and called the Rani his mother. And what that's done is the entire shed is celebrating the queen's joy, and she is distributing all of this as happiness to everyone. And his spiritual glow is blessing everybody that's around him. ਉੱਥੇ ਬਹਿ ਕੇ ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਨੇ ਨਾਮ ਜਪਿਆ, ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਕੀਤਾ ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਨੇ, and ਮਠਿਆਈਆਂ ਵੰਡੀਆਂ ਜਾ ਰਹੀਆਂ, jewelryਆਂ ਵੰਡੀਆਂ ਜਾ ਰਹੀਆਂ. Like, people are distributing all these beautiful things, all these precious things, and it's all a celebration of your son. And Mata Gujri Ji says, "I know that there's a kirpa on him. That's why I never stop him from doing what he does." Kinde, you know, he'll go and he'll throw rocks at people's pictures and he'll break them. She goes, so what I do, instead of yelling at him, is I go and I replace those mitti de pictures, and I'll just replace them with something made of steel or something made of iron, right? And she goes, he'll go and he'll shoot an arrow through where people are using buckets to get water from the khu. She goes, so what I did instead was main sharab deta us khu nu ki aj to tera pani hai jehda I want it to be full of salt. I don't want any sweetness in this. And even today, there's, I think, a mandir or a gurdwara there that still has that khu. They didn't mention the name, but they did mention that it's still there. That has water that is salty. Because Mataji was like, well, if the water becomes salty, then no one will come and use these buckets. So every time Guru Sahib goes and does this, there's something that comes out. Where Mataji just goes and says, well, you know, he broke your pots, but here's better ones. Yeah, he put an arrow through your bucket, but we don't even need that well, right? So she's going and covering up all of this because Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji actually gave the hukum to Mataji when Guru Sahib was born that you are to never raise your hand on this child. And that brings me to a benti. Again, it connected me to real life. That, you know, I know that in the Punjabi culture, we're big on, right? We say, just slap the kid, he'll be fine, right? I have a benti that, you know, if we have the luxury to not do that, I think it's beautiful to do an ardas to Maharaj that please send in my house those souls that are resting at your charan in Sachkhand, that want to come back to this world and do bhakti or seva. Send me a surma or a pagat that I get the opportunity to do seva of. Let me do seva of those pagats, and as I'm raising them, Maharaj, let me discipline them in the way you want. You wouldn't raise your hand on those pagats, would you? I remember one time Pindarpal Singh Ji was doing katha, and they were talking about Guru Nanak Dev Ji, when they were in their balak umar, their father raising their hand on them and slapping them. And when the Kathakar, Pindarpal Singh Ji was talking about when this happened, when the Kathakar was explaining this, the third time that the Kathakar said, ki othe fe Guru Nanak Dev Ji de chaped vajji, right? Or as a balak roop, that one of the sangat members, they got up in full tears, they folded their hands and said, nah, please don't say it again. Just, I can't hear it anymore. I can't bear to hear that our Guru went, I don't want to hear that, please. And imagine how much prem that Gursikh must have had, that they just got up in Darbar and just said to the Kathakar, I know it's the Sakhi, I know it happened, but I just don't want to hear it. Imagine if that was the level of prem that we raised our children with. That this is the future of the Panth, and I want to raise and I want to do their seva. I'm not raising them, I'm not bigger than them, I'm doing their seva. Their Maharaj's booty, their Maharaj's root and plant that is meant to grow. And so this exchange between Mama Kirpal Chand and Mata Gujri Ji really reminded me of that, because then Mama Kirpal Chand Ji goes, you did well. They said that the pictures that were broken is actually Guru Sahib breaking people's bad karam, their sins. The metallic pictures that have arrows through them, that's actually their vices. Because vices, Kam, Krodh, Lobh, Mohankar, is as strong as those irons. They're fortresses. And Maharaj is piercing through those fortresses every time they're shooting these arrows. They said everything he does, whether he teases or whether he does anything, it's to bless. They said, I saw there was a man that had leper disease. And they said that as Guru Sahib was running by playing with his friends, he pushed this man with lepers into the river. And when he fell into the river and came back up, his disease was gone. His skin was completely cleared. They said he does these mischiefs, but he's just blessing everybody without letting them know that it's a blessing. Even today, there's a lot that happens in our life, and sometimes we want the miracle to be that Guru Sahib steps down from the heavens and shines their kirpa in front of us and says to us directly, I have done kirpa on you, right? It's not always that. Sometimes within this game, within this play, we have to catch, oh wow, Maharaj ne itthe menu dhakka ditta si, Maharaj pushed me here, but I realized that with that push, it's blessed me with such a brightness. Wow, it was a kirpa the whole time. And it's those moments that really show you that, oh my God, Guru to mere naal hai. And I was saying to a parent just yesterday, I was like, Appa apne jeevan wal dekhiye, how blessed are we that? Look into any of your jeevans. Maharaj has you sitting in sangat. Maharaj has you listening to their praises, their jeevan. If you want to feel Maharaj's warm hug, I mean, I'm looking at it myself. How much more could I be looking for Maharaj? We're sitting in a sangat and we're getting to talk about Maharaj. What a blessing. How lucky are we that we've received that moment? And I feel like it's those moments of gratitude that open our eyes to how sweet the journey of Akal Purkh really is. And how Pratak Maharaj's darshan are in our jeevan, in our day-to-day. And so Mataji then says, Minu pata, oh koi khed daya. The other day, he was wearing golden bangles. They're wearing these golden bracelets, 2 on each arm. And I know you've probably heard the Saki before. They said they were on the side of the river and they took 2 of those bracelets off and they threw them into the river. And they said they came home and I said, Ki, Lal ji, Sahibzade ji, tohade kade kithe gaye? Where did your bracelets go? And he goes, oh, I threw them in the river. And they said, I remembered Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji's bachans, not that this is a godly soul, that I should inquire, that everything they do is a game. They say, where did you throw them? They said, come, I'll show you. They go to the river, they take off the other 2, and they throw them into the river. Again, they say, Eithe mein sutte si. Right? I believe actually the Sakhi is 1 kada each, and they threw 1 kada at first, and then they threw the second. And Mataji goes, you just threw the kade, hun koi nahi lab raha. And they say ki Mataji idda hi ek din main 2 var dene a te tanu okha lagna 2 var ne. Right? I'm going to throw 2 away. I'm going to send 2 for Shahidi. And it's going to be difficult for you to let those 2 go as well. And they're referring to when Mataji is sitting with the Chote Sahibzade and Guru Sahib is standing with the 2 older Sahibzade, and they're referring to when Maharaj would send both of the older Sahibzade to go and give Shahidi and let out Jakare, whereas Mataji and them, they're in an encampment when they have to do it. So they're foreshadowing the future with what they're doing, showing that, none of this around us matters. I remember the other day we were doing on a less serious note, we were doing some home cleaning, and I was really attached to some of the stuff that we had to throw away. And then I was like, man, ek din a sareer chhad jana, aj de aa cheezaं nahi sut ho rahiyan, I have to throw them away now. It's the only way I'll get used to throwing away this sareer as well. Right? It's the little things that we find God in. It's the little thing that we find that connection to Sikhi with, right? And in this way, Kripal Chand Ji and Mata Gujri Ji are having a conversation, and they're explaining all the karishme, all of the beautiful things that Maharaj does. And as they're having that conversation, all of a sudden they hear the sound of drums. They hear nagare, da-dung, 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 da-dung. And they look up, and what they see is Guru Gobind Singh Ji, Gobind Rai, Sahibzade Ji. They have behind them 100 children lined up in military formation, walking in synchronized steps. And Guru Sahib in the front, Shati Chori. In one hand he has his bow, in his other hand he has his arrows. And they're walking, and the Faujan are following. And they bring this Fauj to Mataji, and Mataji, no, inna te onda. She finds it so cute. She goes and hugs Guru Sahib immediately. She kisses their forehead. They put their hand on their head, and they say, Sahibzade Ji, how are you feeling? They say, how was your day? How are you doing? Are you hungry? And they say, Ji Mata Ji. They say, yes mother, mithaiyan leke aao, langar tiyar karo, sadiyan faujan aiyan ne. They say, yes, go and prepare that langar. Our fauj is with us. Our army has come with us. And they sit everyone down. And as they're sitting down, Mata Ji gets on their knees, and they're holding their lal's chehra, and they say ki, Sahibzade Ji, मैं सुनिया कि आज तुसी एक और मां बना ली. They say, today I've heard that you've gone and you've adopted a new mother. And Mataji said, they said, yes, I have. Mataji says, how will you be the son of two mothers? Sahibzade Ji says, easy. The same way two eyes can look at one image. They say, theek hai ji, but you're one. How will you play in the lap of two? They say, that's easy as well. They say the same way that the moon shines at night and plays inside of every samundar, ocean and body of water. It's the same moon that's shining in each body of water. I will shine in you, I will shine in her. Mataji goes, but tusi do mama nu mukti kidan bakshonge? How will you give that anand? How will you give that eternal anand, that blossom to two mothers, that tand of two matas having their pot? O jehde puttar, o jehdi nyane, that daat of having a child, that rush of tandapan that a mother feels, how will you give that anand and more to two mothers? They say that's easy. Guru Nanak Dev Ji's house has blessed us with that Naam of Akal Purakh. They've blessed us with that Vaheguru. They've blessed us with that Gurbani. They said any mother that puts the son of Naam Simran in their gold will be blessed with that tand. That is more than having a child. That is more than having me play in their gold. Their sins will be washed away. They will get that Sada Anand, and that son, that is the Lord's name, that son ਜਿਹੜਾ ਉਹ ਪਰਮਾਤਮਾ ਦਾ ਨਾਮ ਆ, ਉਹ ਨਾ ਕਦੀ ਮਰੇਗਾ ਤੇ ਨਾ ਹੀ ਉਸ ਗੋਦ ਨੂੰ ਕਦੀ ਖਾਲੀ ਹੋਣ ਦੇਵੇਗਾ. That ਨਾਮ will bring ਹਰਿਆਵਲੀ, blossom. ਮੈਂ ਹੁਣ ਕੀ ਕਰਾਂ, ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਭਾਸ਼ਾ 'ਚ ਰਸ ਬਹੁਤ ਆ, ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਬੋਲੀ ਜਾਂਦੀ ਆ. ਉਹ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਨਾਮ ਦਾ ਆਨੰਦ ਆ, ਰਸ ਆ, ਹਰਿਆਵਲੀ ਆ, ਉਹ ਜਦੋਂ ਕਿਸੇ ਦੀ ਗੋਦ ਵਿੱਚ ਆ ਜਾਵੇ ਤੇ ਉਹ ਹਰਿਆ ਭਰਿਆ ਮਨ, ਉਹ ਹਿਰਦਾ ਉਸ ਫੁੱਲਾਂ ਵਾਂਗੂ ਖਿੜ ਜਾਂਦਾ. How do I translate this? You help me, Sangat Ji. That lap that receives that Naam Simran, that piece of that Akal Purakh of God, will never go empty. It doesn't matter if they are childless or childful. The child of Guru Nanak's house has blessed us with Gurbani that comes as our mother, it comes as our father, it comes as our best friend. And here Maharaj shows in their conversation with Mataji that Maharaj comes even as a child, brightening your day, brightening your gold. Mataji says, or Sahibzade Ji says, Feo jedi Atma, right back to the Atma, that soul. It immerses with that supreme soul, that Paramatma. Just the same way the moon reflecting on the water there's no difference. The moon is only reflecting because the water is there. It's immersed inside of it. As they say that, they say, "Hun Mata ji sheti langar lao. Please hurry up and put the langar. We're all very hungry." Mata ji goes, everybody sits down in rows, everybody's bringing food. Guru Gobind Singh Ji themselves, Sahibjadi themselves are going and they're feeding their Sena. They're feeding their Sena one by one. And it brings me to that image in Chamkaur di Gadi, when at night the soldiers are resting. They haven't slept for nights. And Guru Sahib is going, Waheguru, to each soldier, and they're grabbing their hands and they're grabbing their injuries and they're putting malm on it themselves. They're wrapping it. They're looking at the cuts, the bloods, the thorns on the feet of their soldiers. And they're pulling the thorns out themselves. They're putting the cure, the balm on each of their feet themselves. Maharaj is massaging the arms and the legs of their tired soldiers themselves. The prem that Guru Gobind Singh Pacha gives, that's the chalak that I felt when I was reading that. Maharaj is going around feeding this langar themselves. There's a killa, I'll mention it again in this series. There's a killa near Anandpur Sahib when you all go and visit. In that killa, it's towards the mountainous side. I don't want to say the wrong name. There was 500 Brahmgyanis. Nowadays we say, oh, there's no such thing as a Brahmgyani. A Brahmgyani is someone that has meditated and become one with God, has defeated their vakars. There was 500 Brahmgyanis there that Guru Gobind Singh Ji would go daily and feed themselves when they had become Guru. And all they would do is do bhakti there. When you go to that killa, I've been. It's so shant. Ale Dwale, there's only forests. There's no towns. From there, you can actually see the Pahadis from where the Pahadi Raja attacked. And you can see the greenery, you can hear the birds, and you can feel, wow, the shanti that those 500 Brahmgyanis, when they were doing their bhakti, they must have felt. So imagine who these kids are that Guru Sahib has sat down into these rows and are feeding them with his own hands, who they were and how much shanti that mahal must have created and brought. They, jo sare ne langar shakle, then very lovingly he says bye to everybody. Everyone leaves. They say their fatehs. And then when everyone left, Mataji and Sahibjade Ji, they sit down and they have a conversation. Mataji says, Puttar Ji, tade te koi maadi nazar na hone takke. I hope that no one starts looking at you with an evil eye. Because look, in the Gurukar, they've seen the Sakhiyan. It's in their own lineage that they've seen family members trying to kill the next Guru or the child of a Guru. The same way Guru Hargobind Pacha, his life, people, the brother of Guru Arjan Dev Ji, Prithi Chand, tried to murder Guru Hargobind Ji when they were just a baby. So this is the frame of reference that Mataji is talking with. She's saying, I hope that enemies don't start coming at you now. And Guru Sahib says, Mataji, Naam japne ta japaune. I do Naam Simran. Maharaj, Guru Nanak Dev Ji's house has that Naam Simran, and I'm going and I'm giving that Naam Simran as a gift to every single person that I see and that I meet. They're saying, who is above Guru Nanak Dev Ji? Jithe mera Guru a, where there is my Guru, nothing can come and touch anyone that the Guru loves. That parosa that they have in Guru Sahib. And Mataji says, Mughalan da Raja, we are in the rule of the Mughals. If they become envious, they can start the attacks. And he said, Guru Sahib, Sahibjade Ji says, this rule, this Muslim rule, is of tyranny. The Mughal rule is of tyranny. Onu apa khatam kar devange. We will finish it. I'm telling you, he switches between being a child and being Rabb themselves. They say, Is Mughal Raj nu khatam kar devange. Ide jad pot devange. Mataji, curious, says, how will you do that? Ye kiddan karonge? Sahibjade Ji says, Kirpana de naal te sees vaake. By giving my head and by giving my sword. By giving heads and by giving swords is what he says. Mataji, knowing how much power is inside of the house of Guru Nanak Dev Ji, gets startled. She says, this house is a house of karamats, is a house where whatever comes out of their mouth happens. So she quickly realizes that she doesn't want to be in this conversation. Whatever he says will transpire. I would be wiser off changing the topic because of how carefree this power is. ਹਾਸੇ ਮਜ਼ਾਕ ਵਿੱਚ ਵੀ ਗੁਰੂ ਸਾਹਿਬਾਂ ਕੋਈ ਬਚਨ ਕਰ ਦੇਣ ਤੇ ਉਹ ਸੱਚਾ ਹੋ ਜਾਂਦਾ. So she changes that topic and she says, haven't you blessed the queen with a son? And then the Sahibzade says, when someone comes to the house of Guru Nanak Dev Ji and they have a desire and they do that bhakti, that desire is met. That desire is blessed. They said, but when someone comes desireless, then they are blessed with Brahm Gyan. They say if you do a Sahaj Path without any desires at all, you will be blessed with Brahm Gyan. That's the power behind a Sahaj Path. In the same way, they say when someone comes in the house of Guru Nanak without desire, they are blessed. They become our own. We give them they become inside of the Guru's prem, the Guru love. It all becomes one. Is tarah gallan kardeyan, in this way, having those conversations, it became evening and Maharaj just gets up again, switches that mode, turns into a child and just takes off running. And when he goes off running, there's a meditative that is sitting inside of his home and he's just doing Naam and he's just trying to connect with Ram, with Bhagwan, with Rab. And what Maharaj does is they open the door of this ascetic and they bless him. They bless him with Brahm Gyan, they give him that love in that moment and then they leave. That's it. That was the whole conversation. Maharaj goes in, blesses them with Brahm Gyan and Prem and leaves. And from there they go and they meet the king and queen. And when they're sitting with the king and queen, everybody gets together. They do Naam Simran, Vaheguru Vaheguru de Jaap hunde ne. They do Rera Sahib together. They do Kirtan together. And the darbar fills. Every evening, Guru Sahib starts to either invite the king and queen into their house, doing Rera Sahib together, Naam Simran together, or it's happening at their house. Over and over, Shivdat would also come. And Guru Sahib would sit for hours, meditating, making everyone feel that Anand. And today we still have that. That's why we go into Sangat. When everyone in Sangat is going there with that desire for Prem. This is why Maharaj, I believe, blessed us with these camps. Camps are not really a thing in India. They're much more, now they are, but they're much more a thing here in America because you have a bunch of people that just want to do Naam Simran and Rera Sahib and all that kind of stuff. When that's the reason you're going to camp and not because of the paintballing or the water fights and stuff like that, the mahal is beautiful. I'm not saying it's fun to do that stuff as well, but the reason you're going is I want to connect to Maharaj and everyone sitting in that darbar has that same desire. That's the mahal. Guru Granth Sahib Ji is sitting in front of you. There's no difference between Guru Granth Sahib Ji and Guru Gobind Singh Ji. They are one and the same. As this happens, in this way, Sahibzade Ji, they go and they spend their entire childhood playing, drilling, marching, doing kirtan, blessing everyone with Naam Simran, showing everyone that path in Patna of what that Naam Simran is. And Maharaj's heart begins to wish that they go and they meet their father, their Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji. He, in this way, sought permission from Guru Sahib, Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji, to allow them to come to Anandpur Sahib so that they can spend their time with their Guru. As they did this benti, everyone starts becoming emotional in Patna. Everyone in Patna Sahib becomes emotional. The king, the queen, Shivdat, everyone's like, no, please don't go. Please don't go. And I was kind of relating that and I was like, we should try and channel that emotion whenever Guru Sahib comes to our house for a Sukhmani Sahib. Whenever they come to our house for an Akhand Path. When they're coming, we should be walking them to the door. We should be waiting outside. Not in the backyard eating pakode, waiting for Maharaj to go so we can finally go upstairs and play. right? That's angyanta. That's not having the gyan that, oh, okay, I might not be feeling it right now, but let me go and see off Guru Sahib and let me channel that bhavana that, oh, Maharaj, you came in the house and you blessed us with your kirtan, your bani. Thank you. Please stay inside of our hearts. It's the same way, like I was telling you, anytime we go to these camps, everyone's saying, please, Maharaj, I don't want this to end. I don't want this feeling to end. That's that same emotion everyone is feeling. They're saying, please don't go. Please don't leave us. And Maharaj over and over again is saying, this is Maharaj's hukum. It is in the hukum. I must go. And Mama Kripal Chand Ji says, please stay. Everyone is going to Mama Kripal Chand and to Mata Gujri Ji saying, please stay. Convince Sahibzade Ji, please don't leave. And they said, sorry, jo Sahibzade Ji di mauja hohi hona. Whatever they wish to happen is what's going to happen. And so Maharaj begins to do katha to everybody. This is hukam. It has to happen this way. This is how you'll remember me. And then what they start doing is blessing everybody. And this is really important for us all to hear these blessings. So the first blessing they go to King Raja Fateh Chand and the Rani. And they start saying, we can't live without you. You're our son. You're everything for us. You're God, not just our son. They actually always refer to him as everything. They want to keep going for his feet, but he never allows them to, right? They say, what will we do? How will we live with, because then Maharaj says, do the naam, do the bhakti, right? Then they say, but we want your darshan. We want to see your roop. We want to see this body of yours as well. How are we going to live without seeing this body? And when they say that, Guru Sahib gives them a gift, a chola that Guru Sahib wears, and a kirpan that is also Guru Sahib's. And they say, look at this chola, look at this kirpan, and you will see me. There was once a time, I'm going to go on a tangent to explain something. There was a time where a Gursikh was really lazy in one of the Guru's darbars, in their langars. He wouldn't go and do seva. He'd always find an excuse. Whenever the Singhs would say, okay, let's do this, he'd go, no, if Maharaj wanted that to happen, Maharaj would directly tell me. And then they'd be like, okay, Aja Pande manjiye. They said, do you have proof that the Guru wants us washing dishes? I don't believe what any of you say until the Guru directly tells me. Then I'll do whatever. So he keeps doing this. Then Guru Sahib comes and visits that Gurdwara one day. It was either Guru Angad Dev Ji or Guru Amar Das Ji. I don't remember which Badshaahi it was. Guru Sahib comes. They say, Singha, tu seva karda? Kende Maharaj, jo hukum karonge wo seva karange. Again, he's avoiding the questions. He's being clever. So he says, whatever hukum you give me, I'll do that seva. Right? So Maharaj says, theek ya, tenu seva dinne ha. Go into the forest, grab firewood, take all the firewood, light it on fire, jump into the fire, and I want you to kill yourself in that fire. That's my hukum to you. And he just stands there, and they're like, I'm not joking. That's what you need to do. If you do that, you'll be given mukti. All of the laziness you've done in this langar hall, all of the lack of seva that was supposed to cut your karam, has not cut your karam. But if you go and do this, I will save you from the jaws of torture, of the jamdut, of the beatings. You have to take the wood, put it on fire, jump in, and all of the bad will be cut away, and you'll be allowed all of the good karam. Right? You'll be blessed. Tenu mukti bakshi jaogi. He's walking away and he's thinking, man, I bet you anything, one of the Singhs is probably up in Guru Sahib's ear, just telling him that I did this and did that, and now Guru Sahib wants to do away with me. He wants me to kill myself. He's like, I'm stuck. What do I do? In Nich, what ends up happening is there's a chor who has a bunch of jewels and items and money and belongings on him, and he's running, and he accidentally hits the spagat, and they both fall. And he goes, what's going on? He goes, my whole life I've been doing chori. I don't want to do it anymore, but I'm stuck in it now, and I have all of this jewelry, I have all of this money. I don't know what to do. He goes, what are you doing in the middle of the forest? He goes, Prava, mena badi mada hoya. Tu ta kehna ki pind wale tenu chhattar marna chaਹੁੰਦੇ, mena te mera guru kehna apne aap nu maar la. He goes, why? A guru wouldn't tell you to go and off yourself. He explains the story in detail of what I just said. That's what I said in Punjabi. And he says, wait, the bachan was that if you go and burn yourself in this fire, you'll be mukt. You'll be good to go. And he goes, yeah. He goes, I want to buy those bachans off of you. He goes, okay, how? He goes, take all of these gems, take all of this money, give me that bachan. Are you kidding me? All I have to do is burn myself, and a Satguru, a Puran Guru is telling you that that's all you need for mukti? I'll do it right now. He goes, okay, yeah, that sounds like a great deal. You go get the firewood, you jump into this fire, give me all the money, let's do it. He gives him all the money, he gives him all the jewelry, he gives him all the gems, and the guy says, folds his hand and goes, Paramatma dhanwad tohada. My whole life I've wanted a guru. My whole life I've wanted a way to meet you. I haven't known how to worship you. You've given me a way. I want to jump into that fire for you now. He buys, because those bachans were for him, he buys those bachans off of him, jumps into the fire. Maharaj oda kalyan kar dinde a. Maharaj blesses him. The other guy takes the jewelry and the money and he's walking away. And as he's walking away, he gets tackled by all the pendawale, and they say, this is the chor. They grab him, they beat him, they whip him, and then they kill him. Guru Sahib says, the reason I had given him those bachans was that chor, it was his last day of living, and it was also the Sikh's last day of living. That's how he was meant to die. But with these bachans, he would have been forgiven because he had spent so much time in kirtan. He had spent so much time in all of this. All he had to do was listen to that last bachan. Today was his last day. And that chor, it was his last bachan too. Even though he never did sangat, he did one thing. He listened to the bachans. And he said, with those bachans, he's now been survived. So when I was reading this, the reason I'm telling you, he's telling this Raja and Rani who have this prem that we all aspire to. We want to love like they loved. And Maharaj is telling them, if you want my darshan, all I want you to do is look at this chola and this kirpan and imagine me. Nowadays we say, aloha ya. Why do we have this kirpana sitting in front of Guru Sahib? Sahibsrohi sahati yeh hamare peer. These are our peers. These are our religious leaders, our kirpana are. That's how much satkar we have for them. So imagine bowing down to a kirpan and closing your eyes and going, if you guys have a kirpan at your house, I implore you, go and buy a shastra. Have it in your house. Grab that shastra, matha take to it, and in your heart envision, Guru Gobind Singh Ji, Aap ji mere more aap baithe ho. Maharaj, Guru Sahib, you yourself are sitting in front of me. This is what Maharaj is telling them. Then Maharaj says, anytime you go and feed those puriyan, shole puriyan to everybody, that is when you will also, I want you to see me eating that shole pature. And I implore you, anytime you're at the Gurdwara, anytime you're doing seva, when you're washing those pande, just bring this thought into your mind. Go, Vahe Guru Nanak Dev Ji, tusi is thali chon shakya langar, te minnu tusi mauka de rahe hain eh thali ton da. Maharaj, you are eating from this plate, and I have the opportunity to wash your plate as you ate from this. Look for Paramatma through your sangat. Obviously, be really careful as well, right? Don't go and treat sangat members that are making you feel uncomfortable and unsafe in this way. Do not take this message the wrong way. Instead, when you're washing those pande, imagine that's what's happening. When you're cleaning in the Jodakar, imagine that the sangat that came is doing Nityanem and Darshan of Maharaj. That when you're going and serving prashade, that's when you need to see the pangat A pangat is when everyone sits down on the floor, not on the tables, not on chairs, on the floor. The entire sangat sits down and they eat langar on the same level. See Paramatma in the pangat. Now the reason I'm saying everything else as well, in terms of, don't get carried away and start seeing individuals as God, is you don't want to be hurt. God is the Guru. That's that. Right? It's your ability to see Guru in everyone else while also being safe. Right? So, they say कि ਜਦੋਂ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਦੇਖੋਗੇ ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਛੋਲੇ ਪੂਰੀਆਂ ਛਕਦੇ ਉਦੋਂ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਪਰਮਾਤਮਾ ਦੇਖੋਗੇ. When you see, you'll see me eating those ਛੋਲੇ ਪੂਰੀਆਂ. Then they go on and they go to Nawab Rahim Baksh, who was praying that they get Maharaj's Saririk Darshan all the time. And Maharaj said to them, whenever you recite Japji Sahib, you will get my darshan. Jab tusi Japji Sahib padhonge tanu mere darshan milenge. Then Jato Ji, who was another Pagat, they said, for you, whenever you read Gurbani, you will get my darshan. Then Shivdat Brahman, the Pandit Shivdat Ji, they didn't say anything. They were just folding their hands and standing. And Maharaj said, every time you sit at the banks of Ganga, you will get my darshan. Then there was Jagta Seth, who was a huge banker. He said Sahibzada Ji says to Jagta Seth, he says, Tusi naam japo, var, just keep doing Maharaj's naam simran, non-stop, and you will feel that anand. See, everyone has a different way of connecting to Maharaj. For some people, it's that seva, it's that shastri darshan, it's Japji Sahib, it's Gurbani, it's Naam Simran. But a Gursik, a Brahmgyani, a Sant that's one with God will know what to prescribe you. It is the prescription to the Guru that we go to see, okay, we experiment ourselves as well. I've tried this, I've tried that. How can I get closer to my Guru? How can I feel that love for my Guru? And here, I would love to add a beautiful Bani that Maharaj had me come across. And the thought I had in my mind when this Bani was coming was, Maharaj, Naam Simran Bani vich dhyan nahi lag raha. It's so difficult sometimes to focus on your Bani. What is the solution? And then I saw this pankti. Maharaj says, Jap mana har har naam nit dhyaye. Oh my mind, do that Naam Simran of Maharaj every day. Jo ichhe soi phal pav hai. Fir dukh na lage aaye rahao. Whatever you have in your mind, if you do that Naam Simran, you will get in your mind. Because I had gone to Maharaj and taken Hukamnama. That's how I came across the Shabad. I was like, help me. The prescription I said, Sants, Gursikhs, Mahapurkhs, Guru Granth Sahib Ji, these are all like, why not just go straight to Guru Sahib as well? Looking for an answer. And Guru Sahib says, you, Sangat Ji, follow that. And then they say, So jap, so tap, sa brat, puja jit harsyon preet lagaye. Chanting, is that deep meditation and fasting and worship, all of these things? Or those things when you do something that inspires the love for Maharaj? So you have to do what inspires love for Akal Purkh. And then I realized sometimes we do Naam Bani Simran just for the sake of doing Naam Bani Simran, completely detached. Which, yes, we need to do our Netrim, keep up with our Jap Tap. But at the same time, Maharaj here says, So Jap, So Tap, Sabrat, Puja Jit Harsyon Preet Lagaye. All of that becomes it when you find that inspires love for Maharaj, whether it's teaching a class, whether it's listening to a class, whether it's going and doing Pandyandi Seva or listening to Sakhis or whatever it is that gets you to fall in love with Maharaj. Do more of that when you're feeling down. Do more of that to connect to Maharaj. The prescription changes. Sometimes it's sitting in your room and doing Naam Simran. Sometimes it's sitting in the living room and doing Naam. It changes. Sometimes it's walking while reading your Bani. Do those things, different strategies to find that love with Maharaj, and don't fall into guilt. Our Panth loves guilt tripping. Our Panth loves saying, you're not a good Sikh if you don't do this. Just ignore all that noise, especially within yourself. Don't start beating yourself up. Oh, but I don't fall in love. Oh, but I don't do this. Let go. Instead, just keep searching for it. Oh, Maharaj, thank you so much. You gave me a glimpse of your love today when I went to the Gurdwara and Matha Tekhed. Thank you for inspiring that love inside of me. Be thankful, not guiltful. I don't even know if guiltful is a word, but don't be it. And then Maharaj says, Bin har preet hor preet sab jhoothi, ek khin mein bisar sab jaye. Without Maharaj's prem, all other prem is false. Then I was like, oh, but how do I love my family? How do I love my job? How do I find Rabb inside of those things? Those that you have humanly love with, find that divine love within. Tum beyant sarb kal pura, kich कीमत कही na jaye. Maharaj, and remember, Ustat, the praise of Maharaj will always connect you. Maharaj, you're infinite. You're the master of all power. Your value cannot be described. Nanak saran tumari, har jio pave tive shadai. And at the end of the day, Maharaj, I am in your sharan. However you choose to save me, you will save me. Do not say, I'm not good enough. Instead say, I'm not good enough, but I'm at your sharan. And there's no one bigger than you. So you'll save me however you want to save me. It's mindset. It's practicing gratitude and ustad and praise of your Guru through Gurbani. That is the game that we play. That is what Maharaj is prescribing to each of these people. When Maharaj tells Jagta Seth, you sit down and just do Naam Simran and you'll get that Anand. Jagta Seth says, I have branches all across India and Punjab. I have managers there of my banks. Because back in the day, what used to happen is, in order to keep your money safe from dakus, you would give your money to a Seth or a bank, and they would, just like the modern system, write you a certificate. On that certificate, you would be able to go to a bank branch that's managed by that banker anywhere else in India, hand them that, and say, this is my money, my money is in this certificate. I have proof this is who I am. Please give me my money. And then they would give you their money. That's how banking worked in India at that time, which honestly is pretty advanced, but that's a different conversation. And he says, I'll instruct all of my managers to be at your service, Sahibzade Ji, whenever you need them, whatever you need. Sare khajane taade hai. Maharaj says, I don't need that. When you come into sangat and do Naam Simran, you'll get all the khajane you want anyways. By Jujar Singh Ji, who's also part of Basics in E13, he said something beautiful at Camp Panth. He says, Apna Guru, our Guru listens so closely to us. Even if we say, in order to do this Seva Maharaj, I need $10 million, and we do that ardas, our Guru will give us that $10 million. They say it doesn't matter. Money is the least of the worry for the Sangat. Maharaj, Maya Chaidi Adavo, they'll give it. So Maharaj says that here. And then, even then though, the banker still made sure that their managers were doing seva, whichever town Maharaj went to, that the bankers were going and doing their seva to Maharaj. In this way, Maharaj started to bless everyone. Preparing for departure, they sat down. There was a humble lady that came and they served chawl and dal to Maharaj. And they cooked it in this pot. And they went and they fed the entire Sangat, this Mataji, as the Sangat was moving to Anandpur Sahib. And even today, that house, she converted it into a Gurdwara. And that pot, they say in the book, it's still there. I don't know if it's still there today, but that pot out of which she went and fed the Sangat, that langar, is still there. Gurdwara of that journey, still there. Our history is so ripe. King Fateh Chand Ji and the Queen, they ended up converting the room where Sahibzada Ji would come and do Bhakti with them into a full Gurdwara. And they started putting on divans and kirtans. See, the true way of making new Gurdware is the bhavna of wanting to inspire more Naam and Bani. Right? That is a blessing when these Gurdware are forming, whether there's 10 in a town or 1 in a town. If there's Naam, Bani, Simran, and Kirtan happening there, it's all a blessing. So some time starts to pass. This is their childhood, right? We're going to fast forward. We'll come back to when they get the Gurgaddi. We'll come back to all of that. We'll fast forward to a decade, over a decade, almost 12 years since they've left Patna. The Queen and the King have decided that they're going to go and visit Anandpur Sahib because they can't wait anymore. And Pandit Shivdat Ji folds his hand in front of the King and he says, he's very old now. He says, please, I want to see my Guru. Please give me his darshan. Take me with you. My body can't move. I need a way to get to Anandpur Sahib. And the King goes and falls at the feet of this Pandit and says, you're the one that got me introduced to the Guru in the first place. Look at that beauty, by the way. Look at that beauty. That Sikh that introduces you to the Guru, I touched that Sikh's feet. That is the bhavna. That is the love. But we're not touching that Sikh's feet because of that Sikh. We're touching it because we're saying, you brought me my Guru. Inside of you is my Guru. Inside of you is that Naam. It's the Naam and the Guru that we always matha take to, nothing else. Right? In this way, they say to Pandit Shivdat Ji, of course you come. They put him in a palki and they start taking Maharaj's roop. And as they're taking Pandit Shivdat Ji's roop to meet Maharaj in the palki, he says, who am I to go and see the Guru in a palki? Oh body, he starts cursing his body. He goes, oh body, why are you not efficient enough to walk there yourself? And the Rani says, don't think like that. Everything that's given here is as the Guru wishes. And the Guru is the one that says that the Sants wish to have a body that japs Naam, and your body is doing that. It is the Guru's kirpa that is taking you anywhere else that you're going to go now. So they're all in this journey to go and meet Maharaj. Maharaj finds out that the Raja and the Rani are coming. Maharaj takes a procession with him, a congregation, a sangat with him, goes all the way to Ropar. So I looked it up. The drive from Anandpur Sahib to Ropar, this location, I looked it up on a map, is about 45 minutes. Think about how long that is on horseback, taking tents, everything to go and meet them. So he goes and he meets them on that rasta that they're coming to meet him. And he goes to the palki that Pandit Shivdat Ji is in. And he opens the palki and he says, Pandit Ji, minu dekhoge nahi? Because they're doing Naam Simran. He's just so happy to see them. Pandit Ji sees them and he comes out of the palki and he tries to come and grab their feet. And Maharaj grabs their arms and they hug him. And he goes, Mere Satguru Ji, tuhade darshan tusi bakshe minnu. And Maharaj over and over again is hugging the Pandit, pulling them in and showering them with that love. Khushiyan charo paase. Everyone is happy. Maharaj keeps letting go, seeing him, smiling, pulling him in for a hug again. And he calls him Guru Sahib again. And then Maharaj says, Pandit Ji, tusi minnu inne pyar na Bala Pritam kende hunde si. With so much love, you used to call me Bala Pritam. Please don't call me Satguru Ji. Give me that Anand. He goes, you know how much Anand I feel? Tusi sade bujurg ho. You're an elderly. I've known you since day one. You lovingly called me Bala Pritam. Today, Pandit Ji, minu Bala Pritam sado. O Anand baksho, tusi bujurg ho sade. And they call him Bala Pritam, and Maharaj says, Nandya. And then they hug them again. And they go, I am your Bala Pritam. A prem. I can't even imagine. Maharaj's prem for their Bhagats is such that they're not looking at their age. They're not looking at how old they've gotten or how wrinkly their skin is or how their bones are decaying. All they see is the beauty in someone that has the Akal Purkh's prem. That's what Maharaj sees. Maharaj apanu vi Vaheguru, bless us with that love that makes Maharaj want to hug us. Jin prem kiyo tin hi prabh payo. I feel like this entire Sakhi is just the arth of Jin prem kiyo tin hi prabh payo. That prem that you must have inside of you that Maharaj just keeps hugging you over and over and over again. Vaheguru. Tan Kalgidhar Pita. Tan Kalgidhar Pita. Now Maharaj Sache Pacha brings everyone and they make them sit back in their palki and they wish to meet everyone else that's come in the sangat. Everyone's faces are shining. The Raja and Rani walk up to Kalgidhar Pita. Before they could even go for Maharaj's charan, Maharaj grabs them and showers them with prem. Because remember, he calls them, "Tusi mere hun Mata ji ho." And they say, "Mata, tohadi atma te Paramatma na judiya." Even in Akal Ustad, actually a Penji from class told me that in Akal Ustad, there comes a point where Maharaj is saying how they gave Brahm Gyan to this Raja and Rani. It's not just in the Sakhi. So Maharaj says that you are now part of Akal Purakh. You are one. And they say that the queen, she just feels so pulled to Maharaj. She just wants to spend time with them. Maharaj brings everyone in. Again, hours go on. Okay, it's hard to describe because it's for hours. Everyone is just doing each other's darshan. Everyone's just like smiling and they're happy and they're hugging each other and they're shining and they're doing praises of Maharaj and Nam Simran and Gurbani. Kind of like how when Gursikhs meet. Then Shivdat goes and he says that, तुसी साढ़े सतगुरु हो. Guru Sahib कहंदे ना बाला प्रीतम ते रखो. सारे Anandpur जांदे आ, उत्थे दरबार लाउंदे आ. Anandpur दे विच, in Anandpur, they do the kirtan, they do Nam Bani. Everybody is connected. Everyone is spending that time as sangat together. And the closest feeling that I can like kind of tap to is whenever, you see like these Gursikhs that come on tour, these Mahapurukhs, these sants, and anytime you go into a mahal with everybody, Guru Sahib is there, they're there, everybody's just talking about Maharaj, everybody's just talking about Nam and Bani, and it's just the most like, Maharaj hasn't left anywhere. And Maharaj proves that. Maharaj takes Guru Granth Sahib Ji's bead. At this point, again, we're fast forwarding to the future. We're missing a lot of Sakhis here. Fast forwarding to the Maharaj takes Guru Granth Sahib Ji's bead and he gives it to Raja Fateh Chand. And he says, "Ehe Satgur hai, Juggo Jagatal." This is the true Guru for all time to come. Is sariyan sangatan li, pure jagat liya, Jagat Guru. It is for the entire community. The whole world can experience this Guru. Take this to Patna, Sahib. Take this to Patna, and in the future, from now on, see me inside of Guru Granth Sahib Ji. You can meet my Atma inside of Guru Granth Sahib Ji. My Atma is inside of Guru Granth Sahib Ji. Reading Guru Granth Sahib Ji and their Bani, you'll be talking to me. Whatever the Gurbani and Guru Granth Sahib Ji says is my katha. Service, seva of Guru Granth Sahib Ji is seva of me and the Sangat. In this way, Satguru Ji blessed everyone. And again, the time for separation came, but Raja Fateh Chand went back. They made a takht for Guru Granth Sahib Ji. Guru Granth Sahib Ji sat on that takht. And even today, that Gurdwara is called Maini Sangat because that was the surname of Raja Fateh Chand Ji. A Gurdwara is still there and everybody would go and get darshan of Guru Gobind Singh Ji from Guru Granth Sahib Ji. It's as if I missed this chapter the first time that point the first time I read this book, because I remember I went to a Mahapurkh and I said, I just want darshan of Guru Gobind Singh Ji. Why haven't I had them? And he was like, you're mistaken. Every time you go to the Gurdwara and Matha take to Guru Granth Sahib Ji, you have darshan of Guru Gobind Singh Ji. Never think you haven't had darshan. Just have the eyes to see the Guru sitting in front of you. Today I read this and I was like, did I miss this in my first read through? Or did I not understand the severity and the sincerity of what Guru Sahib is saying? Guru Granth Sahib Ji de darshan karo, tanu mere darshan honge. Inne naal Sangat Ji, we will meet again next week. Thank you all very much. ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ